Welcome to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. Educate. Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Hello everyone. Welcome to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. This is David Parra. We have a very important show today. It's called Arizona Hispanics Education, Programs that can help students prepare for college. We have several guests today with us today, and they'll be presenting the program that they represent. Our goal is that the community knows that there's a lot going in the Hispanic community regarding education, and we really want everyone to know what's out there and to do their best to have their kids, their children join these programs. I've been talking to some of you during the week, and I believe I told Rhonda, who is one of our guests today, that I am so convinced that programs such as what you represent today are so critical. I even told my son there's going to be a dinner offered by Aguila the next few days, and I told him I'm encouraging him to go to that dinner because I want him to join a program, because I says, it'll change your life. And I believe, we're going to be hearing testimonies. Actually, two of the gentlemen from Aguila are going to be sharing basically their own experience. They're not going to even just talk about Aguila, but they're going to talk about what Aguila has done for them. And I just totally believe that we need to do our best to get our kids to one of these programs. And it doesn't have to be, it has to be practical. It has to be one that works for you. We're not going to tell you which one is best or this and that, but we just want to make sure that they're available. Let's get started. Education, it's so critical. I was saying that for a long time, Latinos have been known for being hard workers. They picture them in the fields, in agriculture. We've done obviously great in agriculture. Mm-hmm. They picture Latinos building homes, fixing roofs, and that's construction. We've obviously done great in that field. And then, we cannot overlook mining. At some point, mining was an amazing, it was a booming industry, and it attracted a lot of Latinos to work. And whatever we've gone, actually, we've been successful. But there is one area that I don't want to say we're not successful, but the success is going pretty slow, and we want to speed it up. I think that's one way to put it. Mm-hmm. So one of the objectives of this platform is to educate and to celebrate accomplishments and to connect the community. So this program, what I did was to invite representatives of 4 programs, but one of our guests is going to talk about 2 of them. So it's 4 programs. But then one program has 2 guests, so it'll be Aguila, it'll be a Leader Foundation, and it'll be Rhonda Carrillo with ASU. She'll be talking about the CCLI, Cesar Chavez Leadership Institute. She'll be talking also about mother-daughter program. So let's get started. I already spoke too much, so let me ask Mr. Felix. Zoilo Felix represents Be a Leader. So why don't you take, who knows, up to 5 minutes, and please interrupt him, ask him questions, because the whole idea is to get him to share with us what the program is. What is it? When did it start? What does it do? Practically speaking, do people have to travel too much? Is it just in one location? Right. Does it move? And all those kinds of things, because people need to understand what it'll take if they enroll their kids into one of these programs. So, Mr. Zoilo Felix, welcome, and thank you so much.
We're always grateful to share our program with the public and what we do, and the amazing work and passionate work that our staff does amongst our youth today. So the Be a Leader Foundation, we work to prepare Arizona's next generation of leaders to go off to college, college-bound, focused, and prepared, which is really our tagline. We really want to take our students and find that path to college. It is an intricate path to college nowadays. I know, at some point in everyone's life, you feel like back when I was in college, and it is a different, there's difficulties, there are issues facing a lot of our students, and not only that, they have to navigate the transactional pieces of college, the college application, the FAFSA, and normally, when I was in high school, you would wait till your junior year to say, okay, well, I think I'm going to go to college, and then you can really start preparing then. Now, as we've kind of, as the economy's changed, as the state has changed, as the whole process, you really have to start early. So the Be a Leader Foundation was founded on the premise that we need to change the educational attainment gap that's within our community. We initially, the organization was founded in 2002 as a scholarship granting organization. And one of the first gaps that was identified was that not only that students need support, resources, scholarship dollars. Right. They needed also programming. So how do you support? I mean, you can throw dollars at a problem, but then eventually there's a need for support services. And so in 2008, through some generous support from some local foundations, we were able to start our programming and start our high school program in 2008. Prior to that, we did start some programming in the Roosevelt School District in 2006 with some 8th graders.
So the program starts as early as 8th grade?
Right. We do start programming in 8th grade. We have we have 3 8th grade programs. Primarily in the Roosevelt School District, Murphy School District, and then we have one that we call our Valley of the Sun Valedictorian Club, which is what we call our 8th grade program. And that one, any student can apply to be a part of that.
So typically, if somebody wants to join your program, there's an application involved?
Sure. There is an application for our 8th grade programs, and these 8th grade programs really, we don't turn away anyone. It's really for us to gather a sense of
do an assessment,
get to know the family, because that's a big component of what we do, is to really get to know the family. And as I mentioned earlier, you really have to start early with a lot of our students, and you get a sense and a feel for what they want to do in life. And it is a little crazy to talk to think, well, at 8th grade, I knew at 8th grade all I wanted to do was get to 9th grade, right? And so for our students, we really want to know what their initial goals are in life, what they want to do, what they see as themselves as in a career, things like that.
So these programs, I assume you bring speakers that speak to them. You have kind of like a curriculum that you follow.
We do have a curriculum that we follow, and really our 8th grade program is to hop them into, we call it using the program as a stepping stone into high school, so that they're a lot more focused and prepared to take on those 4 years of high school with some intent.
Right.
And that intent is to to get into college.
Right.
As we roll our 8th grade students out into high school, our biggest programs our biggest swath of programming is our high school programming.
Right.
So we offer monthly workshops for students.
So this is important, so that the parents know what the commitment is. I assume your program particularly is more of a monthly, once a Saturday perhaps?
Yeah. So our 8th grade programs are all on Saturdays, and those are more cohort-based.
Okay.
Once they get into high school, it does become what I call a permeable program. So kids flow in and out of our workshop series that we host once a month, generously hosted by our partners at Arizona State University. Okay. And so we have a monthly workshop, and each month it's a little different. Each grade level is a little different, but it is all surrounding college access and college success, as well as leadership development. So we'll talk about community service, civic engagement.
This is very, very critical, because a lot of times, you may end up finishing college but disconnected.
Sure.
So I think this kinds of programs, what it does, it keeps you connected to a group of people that eventually you'll be leaders.
Sure. Yeah.
Because if you just finish your education, you're totally disconnected. You may be making good money, but So who knows where you are?
Right.
But this, I think that these kinds of programs, that's why I'm a strong believer in them. That it keeps you connected, it keeps you in that community. Like you said, they get training in leadership development, they get training in community service, etc.
Yeah, and we offer mentorship through some of our community leaders that have come back, that have gone through our program, are now mentoring some of our younger students, and that's a very big piece for us as a community.
Right.
Is that you've kind of gone down the path of college, you've graduated, you're in the community, you're a business leader, you're a community leader. Now it's time for you to help the next generation of leaders come across.
And Zoilo, one of the things that I tell my kid, is don't get too excited if you graduate from high school, because another one of my sons says graduating from high school is really not that hard. So what matters is not just to graduate, but to be ready.
Exactly.
Because a lot of times you may graduate from high school, but not be ready for college.
No.
You may have just somehow graduated, or maybe you didn't learn what you need to learn. You're not equipped with the study habits, the skills, the knowledge base that one needs to face college.
The maturation piece is missing, and we see students. For us, we don't set a path for each student to get into college or a recipe.
Okay.
What we do is really work with the student and say, okay, where are you at now?
Right.
What is that path that's going to get you into college, and how can we help? So we want to be there when that light bulb goes off and says, you know what, I think I do want to go to college. And then sometimes sometimes we get students that are juniors and seniors that realize they have to go to college. They have a different path to college success than a student that was in our 8th grade program and wants to go to an Ivy League school.
So how would the parents start if they're interested in your program? Are you in schools? I assume that you do outreach in schools.
We do outreach in schools, primarily in our for our 8th grade program. We'll do outreach in the districts that I mentioned. We do also have that application or information about the program on our website. For our high school program, we do a lot of outreach within the Phoenix Union High School District, Tolleson Union School District, Mesa, Agua Fria.
In what way do you go and speak to the whole class or flyers? Or?
So we do a lot of marketing, a lot of social media marketing, things like that. But a secondary piece of our high school program is we have a club network of students on these campuses. And
now, sorry for interrupting you. Do you have a cultural component? Because being Latino, sometimes you may grow up with a self-esteem that is not maybe adequate. You think you're just here as a temporary in this country. You don't feel like you belong here. Do you address those issues so that people really understand who they are, feel proud of who they are?
Right. And so what we really want to do is build a sense of confidence within them, and an ability for them to feel like they belong to something. And that's key in our strategy that with our programming. And actually, one of our high school workshops is all built around diversity and really really using diversity as an asset as opposed to sometimes in the media it's seen as there's a deficiency because you come from a different country. I mean, we're all immigrants, right?
So that the speakers and the subjects address those issues to strengthen values, to strengthen who you are, identity. How do people would they go to your website if they want to
if they go to our website, www.bealeaderfoundation.org.
Very simple.
bealeaderfoundation.org. And as well as Facebook, Be a Leader Foundation, as well as Twitter, Be a Leader Found is our hashtag.
Do you find that most of your participants are from those from the place where you hold your meetings, where you basically those districts that you work in?
So the core of our program participants mainly come from what I call the urban core of Phoenix Union, Tolleson, and we do get some from the East Valley as well. We do have students who travel a long way to come to our workshops.
So you take anybody?
We'll take
even though you focus maybe on a...
Right. So our workshops have been set up so that any student can come, no matter whether we're in their district or not. So we'll have we've had students from Tucson that come up once a month, especially as they reach their senior year, where we have a much more cohort and much more design program for them to actually get them through the whole application
We're going to go on break. Last word, have you seen a significant difference in those kids that go through the program?
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Yeah, we've seen kids who I've known since 8th grade, and now they're off to, we actually have one that's off to Yale in the fall.
Wow.
So, Could they have gotten there? Probably. Do they have extreme confidence that they're going to be successful? Definitely. Yeah.
Thank you. That was Zoilo Felix from Be a Leader Foundation. We're going to go on break, and then we'll continue with Aguila. We will be right back.
Welcome to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. Educate. Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Thank you. Thank you for staying with us. This is David Parra with AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. We are doing this program focused on education, programs that prepare students for college. So we have now Javier Acosta and Alex Astiazaran. They both represent the Aguila program. Take it away, Javier, Alex, and tell the community what Aguila is and help us understand the benefits of joining, what Aguila does and doesn't do, and also how to join Aguila programs, etc. So go for it.
Yeah, well, the program was started roughly 13 years ago. We're headed into our 13th calendar year, and I'm from the 4th cohort. So I joined the program in 2007, and I went through the program as a junior and a senior in high school. And then once I was in college, I came back and volunteered, did an internship, and worked part-time. And I'm actually a full-time program coordinator with the program now.
So you've seen it all.
Yeah,
You went
I've
through
been
it.
on both sides of the program. I've been behind the curtain, in front of the curtain, in the audience. You know, I've worn a few different hats, and currently what I do there is I prepare for our youth symposium, which takes place every year. This is our 10th annual symposium that'll be coming up, and so the program in its the program in its inception was built around the idea of creating a college pathway, getting high school students to college, recognizing the mechanics on how to get there, applications, FAFSA, so on and so forth. Very similar to Be a Leader in that the comparison we made off air was it's like Coke and Pepsi, right? Really, we're just trying to help students get to college. That's the overall goal. And so ours is cohort based, where once a month you'll meet throughout the school year with your class, whether that's senior, junior, sophomore, or freshman, and we also now have an 8th grade component as well.
Wow. So it used to be just starting at 9th grade. Now 8th graders can join.
Right. And actually, when the program first started, it was strictly for seniors in high school.
Wow.
But as the program matured...
Now, what has led Aguila to think of including younger students?
So you start to realize when you're 17, 18 years old and someone says, where are you going to go to school? And they say, well, I don't even know about my SATs, or I don't know how I'm going to afford it, or I don't know how to apply, and so on. You're like, oh, wow, we need to catch them as juniors.
Right.
But then as juniors, you're realizing some of those same things. They're not aware of their scholarship opportunities, or they don't know the difference between the different types of loans or grants, and so on and so forth. So then sophomore year, you realize you got to prepare for your junior year, and your freshman year, you realize and it's very I guess if you want to call it domino effect, where if you're not prepared earlier on, it's going to be much more difficult for you down the line.
Yeah. I had a niece in my house this week, started to talk with her, and I said, she's going into 12th grade. And I said, how many events, activities have you participated in the line of these programs that we're talking about? And you know how many? 1. And she's already going to be a senior in high school. Mm-hmm. So my son was here, he's going into 10th grade. So I just feel that the infrastructure that we have in schools is not going to do these kinds of work.
Right.
They can barely handle the educational load, and now it's almost unfair to believe that they're going to get them ready. No, it's not going to happen. So programs such as Aguila, Be a Leader, mother-daughter program, CCLI are critical for our community. Go ahead, Alex.
Something that we realized was that a lot of the schools in Arizona are huge, that 2,000, 3,000 kids, and they might have 6 school counselors.
Wow.
To share, what's that? Each of them have 500 kids that they're in charge of. And these high school kids, that's not enough time for them to properly learn from their counselors what they need to do to get to college.
Right.
And so that's part of the reason why Aguila was founded, was to help bridge the gaps that the school counselors just are not able to do by themselves. We want to help them as much as possible. We have even offered workshops for school counselors so that they can also learn more of what our students need, so that they can help them succeed in the future.
Right.
Yeah.
And two of my kids graduated from ASU, and my wife homeschooled my first 2 kids, so we're kind of pretty much informed. But you know what? Even though we are informed, I still feel that my kid has to go through one of these programs.
Right.
It's the smart thing to do. It's the smart thing to do. So how does the saying go? The saying goes that I can't make you drink water, but I can.
Right.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
That's right. And I, that's why I am so passionate about what you do, and I really want to highlight everything that you do, because I really feel that it's just a smart thing to do. Get your kids into these programs.
So one thing that we've seen is that our cohorts, they are class-based. And the sense of community that stems from our cohorts, that is the reason why they stay in college, why they come back, and why they continue giving after college.
Right.
One of the biggest, I'll say mantras, I don't know what's mantra, but one of the biggest beliefs of Aguila, there we go, is to pay it forward. To continue giving back after you've made it to college, after you graduated college, and after you've started your professional career. So Javi and I, we are both Aguila graduates, Aguila alumni.
Right.
I am currently starting my senior year of high school. He's been out of senior of college. I'm older than that. Senior year of college, and he's been out of college for a few years.
Can you touch upon the actual meat of it? What
Yes.
you do with these kids?
So
curriculum.
we have monthly sessions, and we host those all across the valley. We've had sessions at various of the community colleges, at high schools, at ASU, and at Grand Canyon. So we are always moving around to better help our students, because we have students from all across the state. Our furthest away currently are kids from Yuma who drive up monthly to come to our sessions. In our sessions, they learn how to apply for college, how to apply for loans, as Javi mentioned earlier, what the actual process is, what they need to do. And our favorite is picking up seniors who have no idea what they're going to do, because that's when we can help them the most. We love it when our kids start as freshmen and then proceed through the program and learn all they can. But it's really rewarding when we catch them right as they're almost about to get into trouble, and so we can just save them.
Yeah, definitely. That's very important.
And so that's basically the general program, but it has since, I guess if you want to say, tiered off into different programs. For example, Mrs. H, the founder, Rosemary Hernandez, she has started some kind of branched off programs that focus more on pre-law or that focus more on pre-med.
So people who are going to go into medicine, law, do you have programs that kind of prep them for that?
Students who think they may want to.
Okay.
Right, because
So you have to expose them to those
Exactly,
fields.
because you have to remember that if you show up at college and you say, I'm here to register pre-law, people are going to look at you funny, because one of the common misconceptions is that pre-med or pre-law are majors, but they're not.
Okay.
Pre-med can mean anything.
Right.
It truly
Too
just means
broad.
like I plan on going to med school at
Right.
some point.
Right.
And so these students do show up and they are very interested until they see a video on surgery, right? And they're like, oh, wow, that's a lot of blood. Or they are interested in law until they realize, wow, law isn't standing in a courtroom saying I object. It's lots of reading, lots of writing, lots of research.
Right.
And then so it may help them see that they do want to go into these programs, but it may also help them realize that that's not the path that they want to choose, and they would prefer to go somewhere else.
When we have Adam Lopez in one of our shows, we use the word pipeline. Sure. The infrastructure of schools, let's just talk about Arizona, it's challenging. They're not going to be able to prepare our kids adequately. They're going to do their best. So there's like a pipeline that will lead them from elementary to high school to college. And to me, you are part of that pipeline that helps them. So, we just got to do more. We just got to do more to educate our communities, to make them aware of these programs, because who wouldn't? I want,
Sure.
I asked my boss, I said, boss, can I bring my kid, because ARP is going to sponsor your leaders dinner
Yes.
on the 14th, right?
Yes.
And I said, I have to ask my boss, because I he's not like an ARP volunteer, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
She said, oh, by all means. So she approved it. So I said to my kid, if my boss approves for you to go to the dinner, would you go? She says, okay, I'll go. Just, it'll change your life.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. We understand the system, my wife and I, but we still feel that we're not going to be able to help him as well as a program such as these will.
Exactly. And when you think about it, the system, whatever that means, right, is catered towards those who have parents who already know how the system works.
Right.
For example, my mom went to college. She went to ASU. Go Sun Devils, same here. And so,
So you're second generation college graduate.
I am, and that was a privilege to me that was previously unknown. I did, growing up, I was like, oh well, yeah, you go to college. Everyone goes to college. That's what you do.
Right.
And as I got older, I realized, wow, I'm very lucky that I had parents who made me think that going to college was so natural.
Right.
But then once I got in the program, it really opened me up towards like-minded students who all want to go to college, but students who also didn't believe that college was as easily accessible as what I did. Right. And so when you see this system that has high school graduation requirements for high school, and then high school graduation requirements for the university level, and then it has a FAFSA, which people don't know what that means or how to apply, and then it has college applications for parents who may not even speak English, let alone know the college terminology, so on and so forth. The system is very geared towards people who are already knowledgeable of the system. And if you're a first generation college student, if you come from a family that is low income or maybe doesn't speak the language or doesn't have any of those resources readily available, it can be very difficult for you to get to college beyond high school.
It is the smart thing to do, to join these programs. We're going to have to go on break, and I think you have something. We'll give you some time when we come back. You are listening to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. We will be right back.
Welcome to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. Educate. Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Thank you. Thank you for staying with us. This is David Parra with AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. We are addressing a very, very important issue, and that is education. Definitely the need of a breakthrough in this field for Latinos, no doubt about it. I mean, the K through 12, the Latinos occupy like 40-some%. And it is my understanding that they're already a majority. So in schools in Arizona, K through 12, Latinos are already a majority. So very, very critical. I believe 78% of students graduate from high school, but a very, very small percentage go to graduate from college.
Right.
So these programs, we believe, help students prepare for college. So we're going to go to Rhonda Carrillo, but before we do, I believe Mr. Solio Felix, you have some comments.
Well, I was just going to echo a little bit of what Javi mentioned as far as the program, and a little bit of the off-air conversation that you're taking one of your kids to their leadership luncheon,
right.
To see the program. There are a lot of pre-college programs out there, and I think as a parent, to find the one that's the best fit for you. One of our things at Be a Leader is we love the fact that sometimes it hurts because we'll get kids that are in 8th and 9th grade and they go, I'm going to go, I got into ACE. And so then they can't come to our program on Saturday. And the first thing we tell them, that's great. That's awesome.
Right.
When you need anything, come back.
So you're not competing.
No, I don't. We don't.
Collaborating.
We love our students to be in if they're getting services at another program, that means there's room for another kid in our program.
Definitely.
So the collaboration within the community is vital to our success. And as I mentioned off air, as the ASU is such a huge collaborative partner of ours, that we would not be in the position to be successful if it wasn't for Arizona State University's support of our program and programs like Aguila as well. So
Definitely. Thank you, Mr. Felix. Rhonda Carrillo, you are with ASU, and you come to talk to us about two very important programs, the Cesar Chavez Leadership Institute and also the Mother-Daughter Program.
Yes, thank you, David.
Yes.
You leave the oldest programs for last. The challenges and obstacles that these young men have been talking about have been around for a long time. The Hispanic Mother-Daughter Program, for instance, started 33 years ago.
Wow.
But first I want to acknowledge that both the programs I'll be talking about today, the Cesar Chavez Leadership Institute and the Hispanic Mother-Daughter Program, are under the Office of Access ASU at Arizona State University. That office has many outreach programs.
So is that like a big umbrella? If people wanted to learn about all these programs and others, they would go to, is there a website for
Yes.
access? What is it? Do you have the address?
It's eoss.asu.edu/access, I believe. But it's Access ASU.
They can actually Google it, I assume.
Yeah, they can
Access
Google it or go
ASU.
to the ASU homepage.
So these programs that you're going to talk about and others are under the umbrella
Yes.
of Access
The
ASU.
Correct.
Good.
So there are quite a few programs, including the scholarship programs. That
Now,
fall under
I have
Access.
to believe you're a strong believer in these programs and getting our kids into one of those programs.
Absolutely. We encourage both our Hispanic Mother-Daughter participants and CCLI delegates to join these other organizations while they're in high school.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what is the Mother-Daughter Program? What is the concept behind it?
Well, the Hispanic Mother-Daughter Program started 33 years ago, in
Right.
1984. At that time, it was to address this shortage of women, and particularly women of color, in higher education.
Okay.
But now all this time has passed, and it's kind of reversed. Now it's males who are, not in higher education.
And we're going to
There's
have
more
to one of
females.
these. Well, we're going to do a program on that because we need both, right?
So in the last few years, we've begun to accept male participants. So
in the Mother-Daughter Program, you do accept males. That's important
Yes.
to know because if the
There
name
is.
pretty much could tell
right,
somebody
yeah,
that's
that
not for
is
them.
an issue, but we are addressing it by having peer advisors who are
Good.
male to work
Excellent.
with the young,
Right.
men. But there's been over 4,500 participants, including parents, in this program since 1984. The applicants must be first generation. They come from our partner schools, which are Chandler, Gilbert, Mesa, and Phoenix Union. And our partners at these schools help us recruit and promote the program.
If students are from the area, not the ones you mentioned, are they welcome?
Yes, we try to work with them as well.
Okay.
But the majority come from our partner schools. And believe it or not, there are plenty from those partner schools.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So each year we select approximately 150 eighth grade students. This is a 5-year program, so it's a major commitment by both the parent and the
Starting
student in eighth grade.
8th grade. Okay. And is this also a monthly
Yes.
Saturday programs?
No, it's not a Saturday.
Okay.
It's a weeknight program. So parents and students attend 4 to 6 workshops at the Tempe campus, ASU, throughout the academic year.
Okay.
The students receive advisement at their schools from the Hispanic Mother-Daughter staff 2 to 4 times a year. So it is a a big commitment, and they're in it for 5 years.
Right.
And they receive all kinds of. It's not just college preparation. It's building healthy relationships. The parent-child relationship. It's public speaking. All kinds of leadership type skills building. So it's a very encompassing program for the 5 years.
I was born in Mexico, and when we got our permanent residency, we had to go to Guadalajara to the American consulate to get our documents. And I grew up in a very small town, like 1 kilometer long and half a kilometer wide. It was extremely small. And I remember as a child seeing, like in downtown Guadalajara, your professionals, your businesses with maletines, briefcases. And I thought like that was like another world to me. So to get somebody that was like me to be a professional, it's a long process. And it takes what is that say goes, it takes a village to, what is it? Complete.
Raise a child.
To raise a child. And it is true. I mean, there's so many components to raising a child, and more so preparing them to, it's a transformation. Education is a transformational process. You're not going to be the same person, but it takes an infrastructure and it takes a pipeline to do it. That's why, I so much believe in what you are doing. Now, do I assume that some of the instructors, the people who facilitate these conversations, are those that have been in the program too?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, the staff that we have today, the coordinator and the outreach specialists, are both alumni, so they understand, what it meant to them, and they can be more sensitive to how they approach.
Can you elaborate a little bit more as to the actual subjects, areas that you address throughout this 5 years?
Well, as I mentioned, it's not just college preparation. A
Right.
lot of the workshops, particularly their junior and senior year, are geared to the college preparation. But starting from 8th grade, we talk about savings. And, because the parent is involved, we talk about what it costs to go to college,
Right.
which many parents, especially first generation, have no idea. They don't understand the FAFSA. They know that there's grant money, but they don't realize how little it is and how much they have to pick up, along with that grant. So we start with savings and budgeting and, your transition to high school, because that's very difficult from
Right,
8th grade to
right.
9th grade. So we talk about how they're going to have to address that. Self-esteem is very big, self-confidence. So we work on those early on and then ramp it up. We talk about core competencies, what classes they need to be taking in order to get to college. So it starts, kind of small, and then we build it up to, this. You've got your FAFSA done.
One of the programs one of the few, actually, I think my daughter graduated from ASU. She went to CCLI, Cesar Chavez Leadership Institute. Can you tell us about that program, and what people can expect to get if they enroll?
Well, Cesar Chavez program, Leadership Institute, I've been with for 7 years.
Okay.
And so that's kind of my baby.
All
But,
right.
that was founded in 1995, and back then there was a group of community leaders and staff and faculty at ASU who said there aren't any programs that don't address. There are no programs that address leadership in the community. The civic, the cultural. Community, and how students can work in those areas to be better leaders. And so they established the Cesar Chavez Leadership Institute, and its goal is to motivate and inspire the students to be more involved in their community, and they use the values that were important to Cesar Chavez, which were education, community service, and civic engagement.
So that's not necessarily to prepare one for college. It's more for leadership, more specifically.
Yes.
And it's a week-long program?
Yes, it's a 1-week residential program at ASU. It's open to any sophomore and junior at any Arizona high school.
Is there a cost?
No, there's no cost. So if you're selected, there's no cost.
So they have to apply?
They have to apply. It's a competitive application process,
okay.
and only 60 students are selected
Oh,
each year.
okay. So it's not open for huge numbers?
No.
Okay. It's
And
limited to 60.
I think the value of that is that these 60 kids get to know each other, and they become friends, and they have mentors, and they become a family. We call it La Familia, and it's
Right.
a philosophy that we push during CCLI, and it extends way past high school, college, into their adult and professional lives.
Could we conclude before we go on break that the infrastructure of schools, they're going to do the best job they can, but then if we add this pipeline of programs, that offers an excellent opportunity for our families, our communities, enough resources that if they really want their kids to go to school, si se puede.
That's
Correct?
right.
Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Great. We'll be right back.
Welcome to AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection. Educate. Celebrate. Connect. Arizona Hispanic Connection.
Thank you. Thank you for staying with us. This is the last segment of our show. This is AARP, Arizona Hispanic Connection, a program designed to educate, to celebrate, and to connect Hispanics of all generations. We have been speaking or addressing a very important subject, and that is education. We said earlier that Latinos have done very well in many fields: agriculture, construction, entertainment, sports. But this field seems to be the toughest, and it is actually. So it takes a village. It takes a village it takes a lot of people. It takes a lot of programs. It takes a lot of efforts. It takes a lot of support, investments for a breakthrough. Do you agree that we need a breakthrough and that we need it as soon as possible on the realm of education? Because, in Arizona, over 1 million people are under poverty. Over 1 million people out of 6 live in poverty. So it is in everyone's best interest that Latinos, being at least a third of the population, do well, because eventually it's all about the economy. It's all about the money. Right. If we don't have an educated community, then where's the money going to come from? How are we going to fund the services, the programs, and everything? So all is an economic thing, and by education facilitates, makes that happen. So how bad do we need a breakthrough in education in Arizona? And actually in the whole country, but we're here in Arizona.
Well, I think one of the statistics that, and I had to make sure I had it right, but 68% of all jobs by 2020 will require a post-secondary degree or certificate of some sort. So high school is no longer the economic driver for the workforce in Arizona. So we either catch up or we fall behind. And I think the programs like Aguila and the work that ASU is doing is really providing that pipeline, that workforce pipeline that's going to attract companies to come to Arizona, that's going to attract this economic development. And as Latinos continue to grow in Arizona, I think they're at 33% of the population, and you mentioned earlier that the K-12 is 40%. Right. You can kind of start to see the tidal wave that's going to hit Arizona, as far as if we don't educate our population and they come out, we don't have an educated workforce, it's going to have some severe consequences to the community at large. And I think programs like the work that Be a Leader does is helping that and trying to find a way to mitigate that issue as we barrel towards it.
And education is totally linked to economics. Mm-hmm. But Joseph Garcia from the Morrison Institute, he does a presentation, and it just stuck to my brain what he said. He said, poor people don't vote, young people don't vote because you have to be at least 18. So all these people K through 12, they still can't vote. And undereducated people don't vote.
Right.
So that not voting translates to power. So education is not only a link to economics, but it's also linked to voting, to civic engagement, so eventually translates to power. So numbers are great, but we need to be active, and education is the trigger, I believe.
Absolutely. And when you're talking about demographics, when you're talking about K through 12, when you're talking about power, the majority minority group is Latinos. And so when you think about what is this state going to look like politically, demographically, or whatever you want to call it, what is this state going to look like by 2020? So if everyone's going to need some sort of post-secondary high school education, and the majority of the populace has become Latino, it's going to be very important for that body to be able to represent themselves, because like you're saying, the uneducated don't vote, represent themselves in the sense that they're going to need to know how to navigate the voter polls, or how to navigate the college system, or how to navigate the workforce, and realize that just because their previous generations, grandparents or parents or whatever, worked in fields or as some sort of labor type position, doesn't mean that that's the path that they are currently on. And as Soilo mentioned, if you don't catch up, you're going to be left behind. That's an absolute truth, And so one of the nice things about Aguila is that currently there have been 1,300 students across the nation at 105 different schools. And so Alex, right next to me, he went to Wartburg, or he's currently attending Wartburg. I stayed home at ASU. Alex went to Wartburg. One of my colleagues went to Boston College, Lake Forest, NYU, so on and so forth. And so as he mentioned, with the whole pay it forward aspect, a lot of us come back and try to educate on. I always like to go back to voting, because I think that's a very, very powerful position to be in.
So another thing that we like to focus on is connecting our youth to influential leaders in our community. And so during our symposium that we will be having next week, one of the events is a leaders dinner, which is sponsored by AARP. And we invite community members to come and talk to our students so that they can see how bright our students are and how to connect them to the community. And one of the greatest things that came about former President Obama becoming the president is that the minorities of the United States saw that a person of color can succeed. They can do whatever they want to. It's great teaching people how to get to college, but if they don't want to get to college, if they don't think they can succeed, they're not going to get anywhere.
Right.
So from inviting all these leaders to talk to our students, a lot of them are people of color in the community who have succeeded by their own way. So our students see that a person of my skin tone can become a lawyer, can become a doctor, can become an engineer, can become a teacher. It's because they are seeing someone like themselves succeed, which helps them believe that they can do it as well.
Right.
One of the things that Access ASU is trying to do is to create that college-going culture at home. It's so important. All of these challenges that Alex was talking about, can start from way young in a culture where it was just you're working. College wasn't part of it. So a lot of the programs that Access ASU works with address that culture at home. They have a program called the American Dream Academy, which focuses on the parents and what they should be doing. Provides them with all the information they need, how they should be, even having a desk at home, a workspace at home, and so some really basic things, providing them with this education. So that's really important that the culture at home, it begins then, early on.
Right.
So
You
that's
know,
one area.
it's so critical the way society evolves. There's this subliminal messages that go out, and somehow it gets into people's minds that this race, this group cannot, they're not smart. They can think, they can speak. And there seems to be that element too. I was speaking to a doctor. I had a meeting with Alex, my colleague Juarez, and I met with this doctor, and we were talking about how the Hispanic educated people don't know. People don't know that there is that the educated Hispanic is out there, and we need to increase that and exposing our communities to the fact that, wait a minute, anybody given the chance, it doesn't matter where you're from, you will perform. You will be a professional. You can make it.
Right.
But it's about exposure. It's about belief. It's about empowerment. And hopefully these programs will continue the work, the great work that you are doing, because all we are doing is highlighting what you are doing.
Right. Well, I was going to say, piggyback on what you said, is a college education or a post-secondary education is the great equalizer in our society. I would not be living the life that I'm living if I didn't go to college. I would, if my parents didn't force us. And it changes a cycle of poverty.
Right.
It changes the cycle of engagement.
Are you first generation or second?
I am a first generation.
So when you
college
compare your parents to you, it's a world of difference.
It is a world of difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, and I talk to parents all the time, and I facilitate parent meetings, and one of the things I tell them is like, one of the more difficult conversations with a lot of parents is that it's expensive to go to college, and so they see it as an expense.
Right.
I flip it and say it's an investment.
Right.
And I jokingly say es su cuenta de retiro. It's your retirement account, which my parents, there were 5 of us. All 5 of us went to ASU. All 5 of us graduated.
Meaning that perhaps they're going to be able to help if they need help.
And we do
on.
try to help a lot, probably more than they take a lot of trips. So
definitely.
That value added of that this grand equalizer. There's nothing no one can ever take your education away.
Right. Okay, let's just go around. That will be considered your final thought. So why don't you and both of you say just final thoughts about this program? Anything you want to say to parents, or we only have a couple more minutes for the show.
Well, the Cesar Chavez Leadership Institute is all about leadership. It's a very diverse group, and anyone who attends and applies will have a familia forever.
Right.
People they can go to for anything, not just college, but professional leadership. Hispanic Mother-Daughter program is a pretty amazing program. It is a commitment for any of you who want to apply to it, but your daughter and the mother will come out much more inspired and motivated to move forward in college. We even have mothers who go on to college after the program. Right. So access ASU, go Sun Devils.
Make it very brief. We only have a few more seconds.
Something we missed at Aguila is our website is aguilayouth.org. And we
Say it again?
aguilayouth.org.
Got it.
And then we accept all students who are willing to just go to college and then pay it forward.
College is a great equalizer, and when you think beyond high school, when you think beyond Arizona, when you think beyond your own education, it is very eye-opening to everything that's going on. And so that's why all these programs are great, because it does push college to any student of any background, pretty much to go anywhere. But I will have to piggyback and say, go Sun Devils.
All right. Well, thanks so much. We came to the end of this show. It's been a great conversation, I believe, and thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to our guest. And this is not going to be the last show we're going to be doing. This is an extremely important subject, and joining one of these programs is the right thing to do. See you next week.
Arizona Hispanic Connection.